Imagine standing at the very edge of everything that exists. What would you see? A cosmic wall? An infinite void? Or perhaps yourself staring back? The answer to this mind-bending question might be the most profound mystery in all of science. Is the universe infinite? Does it have an edge? And if so, what would you see if you reached it? Today we know that the universe had a beginning, 14 billion years ago. Since then, it has been continuously expanding. But wait, something that's expanding must have an edge, right? Well, in a sense, yes. The thing is, information cannot travel faster than light. This means something simple yet astounding. We can only see those parts of the universe whose light has had time to reach us over the past 14 billion years. When we look into space, we see a sphere centered on ourselves. This is our observable universe. But there's a catch. Since the universe has been expanding all this time, the most distant objects whose light we can see are actually 45 billion light years away from us right now. Picture this. The observable universe is a gigantic sphere with a radius of 45 billion light years, containing about 200 billion galaxies, each with hundreds of billions of stars. So for us, there really is an edge. We look into the past until there simply is no more past. This edge is more of an edge in time, and in some sense, it's meaningless. The real universe is surely larger than what we can see, but how much larger? We have two fascinating options. Either the universe is truly enormous but finite, or it is genuinely infinite. A finite universe means something amazing. If you wanted to fill it with ice cream, you could do it. You'd need an unimaginably large amount of ice cream, but it would be a finite quantity. However, a strange problem emerges here. Such a universe would have to have an edge, a cosmic wall where space itself ends. And if there's an edge, there must be something beyond that edge. But wait, the universe by definition is everything that exists. How can there be something outside everything that exists? Does the idea of something outside everything even make sense? Fortunately, physicists have an elegant trick. You can have a universe without boundaries that can still be filled with a finite amount of ice cream. Imagine an orange and a tiny ant on its surface. The ant sees only a small piece of the peel, just like we see only a small part of the universe. But if the ant starts walking straight, it will eventually go around the entire orange and return to its starting point. The orange's peel isn't infinite, but it has no boundary. Our universe could work similarly, only instead of a two-dimensional sphere surface, it would be a hypersphere, where three-dimensional space curves back on itself. Your brain can't picture this, and that's okay. It's impossible to visualize. But the point is, no boundaries, nothing outside the hypersphere. If you flew in a spaceship in an absolutely straight line, you would eventually return to Earth. How is this even possible? The real physics here is incredibly complex, so we'll have to simplify a bit. In short, it all comes down to gravity. Mass creates gravity by curving space-time itself. This curvature is strongest where the mass is located, but it spreads everywhere, creating a slight tension in the very fabric of reality. This tension could bend the entire universe so that it closes in on itself. If this sounds confusing, we understand. But here's an interesting question. If the universe really is a hypersphere, how can we figure out its size? On Earth, we see ships disappear over the horizon, and this helps us calculate the planet's size. Scientists have looked for a similar universe horizon, but found nothing. This means that if the universe is a hypersphere, it must be so colossal that it appears flat to us. For this to work, it would have to be at least 1,000 times larger than our observable part, and maybe 1,000,000,000,000 times larger. Some scientists decided this was too simple and proposed an even wilder idea. What if the universe is like a donut? A hyperdonut, again, something impossible to visualize. In such a universe, traveling in a straight line would also bring you back home, but with interesting features. In a donut universe, matter is distributed unevenly in different directions. Two spaceships flying in opposite directions could return home in completely different times. And light from distant galaxies would do amazing things. It would work like a cosmic mirror maze. We could see the same objects in different places in the sky, but at different times. Light would simply take longer to arrive by one route than another. Imagine, you see a star being born right in front of you, and on the opposite side of the sky, you observe the death of that same star. Due to its strange geometry, such a universe could be surprisingly compact, only a few times larger than the observable part, though it could also be gigantic. We simply don't know. But what if? What if the universe really is infinite and space continues forever? The cosmological model that most scientists use actually describes an infinite universe. We mainly apply it for calculations in our observable region, but if taken literally, it predicts true infinity. An infinite universe continues, well, forever. No boundaries anywhere. Wherever you look, you'll find more and more matter in every direction to infinity itself. This is a bit mind-blowing. If the universe is infinite, does this mean it's also eternal and has always existed? Was there a time when there was nothing everywhere, and then suddenly something appeared everywhere? We have compelling evidence for the Big Bang, so it seems the universe really did have a beginning. But how can an infinite thing that's already everywhere become even bigger? Cosmic expansion simply means that distances between galaxies increase over time. Even infinite space can expand. Welcome to the dizzying paradoxes of infinity. And now, the most interesting part. Traveling in a spaceship through an infinite universe, you would discover incredible things. New galaxies, stars and planets, amazing phenomena, probably aliens in forms of life stranger than anything you could imagine. But after a very, very long journey, you might encounter the most special thing in the universe: yourself. An exact copy of you watching this video right now. How is this possible? Everything in existence consists of a finite number of different particles, and a finite number of particles can only be combined in a finite number of ways. This number might be monstrously large, seemingly infinite to our minds, but it's actually finite. If you have a finite number of ways to build anything, but infinite space filled with things in all directions forever, then logically, sooner or later combinations will start repeating. Of course, just because something is possible doesn't mean it will necessarily happen. Perhaps the universe stretches forever, but only boring things repeat. Maybe you really are unique. But if the laws of physics are the same everywhere, then somewhere very far away, gas could have spawned stars and planets, where primitive chemistry gave rise to genetic information that turned into cells and animals that evolved in the most incredible ways. And eventually, into intelligent beings creating videos on the internet. This happened at least once, so the probability isn't zero. Even if the chance of your exact copy existing, watching this video right now, is almost zero, in an infinite universe, almost zero is still a huge number. Unfortunately, you'll never meet your doppelganger. Earth in its current form is so incredibly improbable that you'd have to travel a distance with one followed by 100 octillion zeros multiplied by the size of the observable universe. That's so far it practically means infinitely far. And yet, in a truly infinite universe, every possible combination of particles could, well, it's time to stop. While all these scenarios are theoretically possible, we've entered the realm of scientific philosophy. Right now, none of these ideas can be tested or proven. If the universe is infinite, we'll never know it. The reality is, for us, the universe is finite and has an edge in time. Everything we can interact with is within the observable universe, and it will likely always be that way. But you know what? Even if this finite universe seems small to you, it's more than large enough to fulfill all the dreams that we and our descendants could ever conceive. It's infinitely large for all of us.